Assalamu alaikum. There are people you loved so deeply that you started losing your peace trying to keep them. You kept praying for the connection, crying over the distance, overthinking every silence, and hoping that one day they would finally love you in the way your heart needed. But instead of feeling safe, you felt anxious. Instead of feeling emotionally protected, you felt exhausted. And maybe the most painful part was this: you kept blaming yourself for the pain. You thought maybe you were too emotional, too sensitive, too difficult to love. But tonight, maybe your heart needs to hear something that could change the way you see love forever. The person truly written for you by Allah will never make your soul feel constantly heavy just to keep their attention. Because real love does not leave you emotionally starving while calling it passion. Real love does not pull you away from your peace, your dignity, and your connection with Allah. What Allah writes with mercy feels different. It feels safe, honest, calm. Fafime, like peace after confusion and relief after a very long emotional storm. The person written for you by Allah will never make love feel like emotional punishment. There are some people who make love feel exhausting instead of peaceful. You care about them deeply, yet your heart feels tired all the time. You spend your nights overthinking small things they said, replaying conversations in your head, checking your phone again and again, and wondering if you are still important to them. No matter how much effort you give, it never feels enough. You keep trying harder, loving harder, waiting longer, hoping more, but your heart continues to feel heavy. Many people stay inside painful connections because they mistake emotional intensity for real love. They think that if a relationship hurts deeply, then it must mean the feelings are strong and special. But not every intense emotion is love. Sometimes it is anxiety. Sometimes it is emotional dependency, sometimes it is the fear of abandonment, and sometimes it is the pain of trying to hold on to someone who was never emotionally safe for your heart in the first place. The person written for you by Allah will not constantly make you feel emotionally punished for loving them. They will not disappear every time you become vulnerable. They will not make you feel guilty for needing reassurance. They will not leave you starving for affection while giving you the bare minimum just to keep you attached. Real love does not make your heart live in constant fear of losing someone. Real love does not force your soul to beg for emotional safety. A healthy love feels different. It brings calmness to the heart. It allows you to breathe without constantly worrying that one mistake will make the other person leave. You do not spend every day questioning your worth or trying to earn basic kindness. Instead of confusion, there is clarity. Instead of emotional games, there is sincerity. Instead of fear, there is trust. And this is something many people struggle to understand because they grew up around unhealthy versions of love. Some people were taught that love means suffering. They learned that being ignored, chasing someone emotionally, crying constantly, or feeling unstable is somehow romantic. But Allah did not create love to emotionally destroy you. Love was created to bring mercy, comfort, protection, and peace into your life. This does not mean every relationship will always be easy. Even beautiful relationships go through tests, misunderstandings, and difficult moments. But there is a difference between normal hardship and constant emotional damage. There is a difference between a relationship that helps you grow and one that slowly breaks your spirit. The person truly meant for you will care about your heart because they understand that your heart is an amanah from Allah. They will not enjoy your confusion. They will not feel powerful by making you anxious. They will not keep hurting you while expecting you to call it love. Anything truly written by Allah with mercy carries peace inside it. Even during difficult moments, there is still emotional safety, sincerity, and mutual care. Your soul does not constantly feel abandoned. Your heart does not feel like it is fighting for survival every single day. Because real love, the kind blessed by Allah, does not leave you emotionally homeless. It gives your heart a place where it can finally rest. Real love protects your dignity, your heart, and your connection with Allah. One of the clearest signs that a connection is unhealthy is when you slowly begin losing yourself just to keep someone in your life. At first, you do not notice it happening. You simply tell yourself you are being patient, understanding, loyal, or loving. But little by little, your heart begins accepting things that quietly damage your dignity. You tolerate disrespect because you are afraid of losing them. You stay silent about your pain because you fear pushing them away. You lower your standards, ignore your intuition, and keep making excuses for behavior that continues breaking your peace. And eventually, the relationship becomes emotionally one-sided. You are carrying the weight of the connection, while the other person only gives effort when it is convenient for them. You keep hoping they will finally become softer, more caring, more emotionally available. But instead of feeling loved, you feel emotionally drained, trying to earn the kind of treatment that should have been given naturally. Real love does not force you to beg for basic kindness. It does not make you feel small, unwanted, or emotionally invisible. The person truly meant for you will never enjoy watching your heart suffer while you desperately try to hold the relationship together. They will not constantly leave you questioning your worth. They will not disappear when things become emotionally serious. And they will not only love you when it benefits them emotionally, because real love protects dignity before anything else. A person who truly cares about you will be careful with your heart. They will speak with respect, even during difficult moments. They will value your emotions instead of mocking them. They will not make you feel ashamed for being sensitive, soft, emotional, or vulnerable. Instead of making you feel emotionally unsafe, they will create an environment where your heart can feel calm, seen, and protected. And one of the most beautiful signs of halal love is that it does not pull you away from Allah. It brings you closer to Him. Some relationships consume the heart so deeply that a person slowly becomes spiritually empty. They begin thinking about the person more than they think about Allah. Their emotions become so attached to the relationship that their salah loses focus, their heart loses peace, and their connection with Allah quietly weakens. They start living emotionally dependent on another human being instead of relying on the one who created their soul. But love that is blessed by Allah carries barakah inside it. It inspires goodness. It softens the heart instead of hardening it. It encourages sincerity, patience, modesty, mercy, and emotional maturity. The right person will not become a distraction from Allah. They will remind you of Him through the way they treat you, the way they protect your heart, and the way they carry responsibility with sincerity. A healthy love makes you feel emotionally safer with Allah, not emotionally distant from Him. And this is important to understand because many people confuse obsession with love. They think constant emotional chaos means the relationship is deep, but a connection that destroys your peace, weakens your iman, and damages your dignity is not something your soul can survive forever. No matter how strong the feelings are, the heart eventually becomes exhausted living without emotional safety. The person written for you by Allah will not require you to betray yourself to keep them. They will not force you to abandon your values just to receive love. They will not make you choose between your peace and the relationship. Instead, their love will feel clean, respectful, safe, honest, mature, not because they are perfect, but because they fear Allah in the way they handle your heart. And that changes everything, because when someone truly fears Allah, they become careful with people's emotions. They understand that hearts are sacred. They understand that love is not a game, attention is not a toy, and emotional trust is not something to abuse carelessly. Real love is not just about strong feelings. Real love is about responsibility, mercy, sincerity, protection, and peace. And anything truly written by Allah will never force your soul to lose its dignity in order to feel loved. The wrong attachment makes you think about them more than you think about your own soul. One of the most dangerous things about unhealthy attachment is that it slowly takes over your inner world without you even realizing it. In the beginning, it feels harmless. You simply care deeply about someone. You enjoy their attention, their words, their presence. But over time, your heart becomes emotionally dependent on them in a way that starts draining your peace, your focus, and even your connection with Allah. Your entire mood begins depending on how they treat you. If they reply warmly, your heart feels alive again. If they become distant, your chest feels heavy for the rest of the day. If they give you attention, you feel valuable. If they ignore you, you begin questioning your worth. Slowly, another human being starts controlling your emotional state. without even realizing it. And this is where attachment becomes spiritually dangerous, because the heart was never created to rely completely on another person for peace. The heart was created to find its deepest peace with Allah first. Human love was meant to be a blessing in life, not the center of your emotional survival. But unhealthy attachment changes a person quietly. You begin waking up thinking about them, sleeping while replaying memories of them. You check your phone constantly hoping for a message. You overanalyze every word, every delay, every small change in their energy. Even during salah, your mind keeps returning to them. Even while making dua, your heart feels consumed by fear of losing them, and eventually your soul becomes exhausted carrying someone so heavily inside it. Some people become so emotionally attached that they stop caring for themselves properly. Their own healing gets ignored, their own dreams become smaller, their relationship with family weakens, their worship loses focus, their emotional stability disappears, and all because they became trapped inside the fear of losing a person who was never meant to carry the weight of their soul. This is why some relationships leave people emotionally empty, even when they are still together, because the connection slowly became an obsession instead of a mercy. Real love feels different. The right person will never replace Allah inside your heart. They will never become more important than your peace, your deen, or your emotional well-being. Instead of consuming your entire identity, their presence will bring balance into your life. You will still feel connected to yourself. You will still feel emotionally grounded. You will still feel close to Allah, because healthy love adds peace to your life. It does not swallow your entire existence, and this is something many people misunderstand. They think being unable to function without someone means the love is deep. But emotional addiction is not the same thing as love. Constant obsession is not proof that a relationship is healthy. Sometimes it is simply proof that the heart is starving for validation, comfort, or emotional security. The person written for you by Allah will not make you lose yourself trying to keep them. They will not turn your life into constant emotional fear. They will not make you feel like your happiness depends completely on whether they stay or leave. Instead, their love will feel calming to the soul. Their presence will support your peace instead of controlling it. You will love them deeply, but your heart will still remain connected to Allah above everything else. Because when love is written with barakah, it brings emotional balance, not emotional captivity. And maybe this is what some hearts need to understand tonight. If a connection is slowly consuming your peace, weakening your soul, and making you emotionally dependent in unhealthy ways, then your heart is not becoming stronger through that love. It is becoming exhausted. Allah never intended for another human being to become the object your soul depends on completely. People change, people leave, people disappoint, but Allah remains. And the more your heart learns to place its deepest dependence in Him first, the more protected your soul becomes from the kind of attachment that destroys inner peace. Because real love should bring your heart back to life, not make your soul feel emotionally trapped every single day. Love from Allah brings clarity to the heart, not endless confusion and anxiety. One of the most painful feelings a person can experience is constantly wondering where they stand in someone's heart. You care deeply about them, but nothing ever feels emotionally stable. One day they make you feel loved, valued, and important, and the next day they become distant without explanation. Their energy changes suddenly, their effort becomes inconsistent, their words no longer match their actions, and because your heart keeps searching for certainty, you slowly become trapped inside confusion. You begin overthinking everything. You reread old messages trying to understand what changed. You notice every delay, every cold reply, every shift in tone. You start questioning yourself constantly. Did I say something wrong? Am I asking for too much? Why do they feel close one moment and far away the next? And the hardest part is that emotional confusion slowly steals your peace without making noise. Your body may still continue with daily life, but inside your mind there is constant emotional unrest. Your heart never fully relaxes because it keeps waiting for reassurance that never lasts long enough. But real love is not supposed to feel like endless emotional guessing. The love written by Allah brings clarity to the heart. It does not constantly leave your soul drowning in anxiety. The right person will not repeatedly confuse you while expecting you to stay emotionally loyal to them. They will not keep giving you mixed signals that slowly destroy your emotional stability. They will not make you feel secure only when it is convenient for them, because people who genuinely care about your heart do not enjoy watching it suffer in uncertainty. And yes, every human being has flaws. Even healthy relationships go through misunderstandings, difficult conversations, moments of weakness, and emotional stress. But there is a difference between natural human imperfection and a pattern of behavior that constantly keeps your heart emotionally unsettled. A sincere person communicates. A sincere person reassures. A sincere person does not disappear every time emotional responsibility becomes real. They do not leave you carrying the emotional weight of the entire relationship alone. Many people stay trapped in painful connections because they keep hoping clarity will eventually arrive. They wait for consistency. They wait for emotional maturity. They wait for the other person to finally become who they imagined in their heart. But sometimes the confusion itself is already the answer, because Allah does not send real peace into your life through constant emotional chaos. The person truly written for you may not be perfect, but their presence will not constantly disturb your soul. Even during disagreements, there will still be honesty. Even during difficult moments, there will still be care. Even during emotional stress, there will still be respect for your feelings. Real love does not make your heart feel emotionally unsafe every single day. And one of the deepest forms of mercy is clarity. Clarity protects the heart from unnecessary suffering. It allows your soul to rest instead of constantly chasing certainty from someone emotionally unavailable. It frees you from living inside fear, confusion, and emotional instability. Some people are addicted to confusion because chaos became familiar to them. They mistake unpredictability for passion. They think emotional highs and lows mean the connection is powerful, but often it only means the heart has become attached to instability. A peaceful love feels different. You do not spend every night trying to figure out if they still care. You do not constantly fear abandonment. You do not feel emotionally punished for expressing your needs. Instead, there is sincerity between both hearts. There is emotional safety. There is calmness in the way you are treated. And this kind of peace is rare because it requires emotional maturity, sincerity, and fear of Allah. The person written for you will understand that your heart is not something to play with. They will understand that emotions are sacred. They will not use your love against you. They will not disappear and return whenever they feel lonely. They will not keep you emotionally attached while refusing to give your heart clarity. Because love that carries barakah does not leave the soul in constant darkness and confusion. It brings light. It brings honesty. It brings calmness. And most importantly, it brings a kind of emotional peace that allows your heart to feel safe enough to finally rest. If loving them is slowly destroying your peace, your heart is already receiving the answer. Sometimes the answer you keep asking Allah for is already unfolding quietly inside your heart, but your attachment is too strong to accept it. You keep asking Allah for signs, guidance, and clarity about a person, while at the same time your peace keeps disappearing day after day. Your sleep becomes restless. Your thoughts become heavier. Your heart feels emotionally exhausted all the time. Yet you continue holding on because a part of you still hopes things will suddenly change. This is what painful attachment often does to people. It makes them ignore the emotional damage because they are too focused on the fear of losing the connection. They keep remembering the beautiful moments, the sweet words, the rare moments of affection, and they use those memories to justify staying inside something that is slowly breaking them from within. But a heart that constantly feels disturbed is trying to tell you something. Many people pray for a sign from Allah, while their anxiety has already become the sign. Their emotional exhaustion has already become the sign. The heaviness they feel every day has already become the sign. Because when a connection continuously steals your peace, your dignity, your emotional stability, and your closeness to Allah, your soul eventually begins suffocating under the weight of it. And the difficult truth is that some people only realize how damaged they became after the relationship finally ends. While they were inside the connection, they kept convincing themselves everything was normal. They normalized overthinking. They normalized crying every night. They normalized emotional neglect. They normalized feeling unwanted. They normalized carrying the entire relationship alone. But love should never make your soul feel constantly abandoned. Allah did not create your heart to survive on temporary affections surrounded by endless emotional pain. A few beautiful moments cannot heal the damage caused by constant confusion, inconsistency, and emotional instability. Sometimes people stay attached because they are addicted to the small moments of relief that arrive after long periods of emotional suffering. The relationship becomes a cycle of pain followed by temporary comfort, and the heart starts mistaking that cycle for deep love. But real love does not continuously destroy your peace. Yes, every relationship faces tests. Even righteous people go through difficult moments. But there is a difference between a relationship that challenges your growth and one that slowly destroys your emotional well-being. There is a difference between temporary hardship and constant inner chaos. The person truly written for you may not be perfect, but your soul will not feel emotionally unsafe around them all the time. You will not constantly question your worth. You will not feel like you are begging for basic care while silently falling apart inside. Their love will not leave you emotionally drained every single day. And sometimes the hardest thing for the heart to accept is this: not every person you deeply love is meant to stay in your life. Some people enter your life as a lesson, not a destination. Some people expose your wounds so you can finally heal them. Some people show you how deeply you fear abandonment, rejection, loneliness, or emotional insecurity. And sometimes Allah allows your heart to experience attachment so you can learn that no human being was ever supposed to become the source of your peace. Because true peace was always meant to begin with Allah first. And this is why the soul feels so exhausted when it becomes overly attached to the wrong person. Deep inside, the fitra knows something is wrong. The heart knows it is carrying something too heavy. The soul knows it is depending on someone in a way that is slowly breaking its emotional balance. But attachment keeps whispering, hold on a little longer. Even when the peace is gone, even when the tears keep increasing, even when the heart feels tired every single day. And maybe tonight, someone needs to understand this deeply. You do not have to keep suffering just because you love someone. Love is not supposed to feel like emotional destruction. The right person will not repeatedly become the reason your heart feels shattered, anxious, emotionally neglected, and spiritually drained. They will not force your soul to constantly survive emotional pain in order to receive small pieces of affection, because what Allah writes with mercy carries peace inside it. Even in difficult moments, there is still emotional sincerity. There is still care. There is still respect. There is still safety for the heart. And if loving someone is slowly destroying your peace, then perhaps your heart is not being told to hold on tighter. Perhaps it is slowly being guided toward letting go, not because you are weak, not because you are unlovable, but because Allah sees the emotional damage your heart keeps trying to ignore. Sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is finally accepting what your soul has been feeling for a very long time. That peace is not found in forcing someone to love you correctly. Peace is found in trusting Allah enough to release what keeps hurting your heart, because what is truly meant for you will never require you to destroy yourself just to keep it alive. Sometimes Allah breaks your heart with someone so He can save your life from them. There are heartbreaks that completely change a person, not just emotionally, but spiritually too. A person can smile in front of others while quietly carrying a storm inside their chest every single day. They wake up thinking about someone who left. They replay old memories in silence. They read old messages late at night. They keep wondering what went wrong, what they could have done differently, and why someone they loved so deeply was removed from their life. And sometimes the pain becomes so heavy that the heart starts questioning everything. Why did Allah allow me to love them if they were never meant to stay? Why did this connection feel so real? Why does losing them feel like losing a part of myself? These are the kinds of questions many broken hearts carry in silence. Because when a person becomes emotionally attached, they do not just lose someone after separation. They lose routines, hopes, imagined futures, emotional comfort, and the version of life they dreamed about with that person. And this is why heartbreak can feel so unbearable. It is not only the loss of a person, It is the loss of what the heart believed that person represented. But one of the hardest truths to accept is that not every person we love is good for our soul. Sometimes Allah allows the heart to break because staying attached would have destroyed the person even more. There are people we cry over today who would have shattered our peace tomorrow. There are relationships we begged Allah to save that would have eventually damaged our emotional health, our dignity, our iman, and our inner peace in ways we could not yet see. But when the heart is attached, it only sees what it wants to keep. It ignores the red flags. It ignores the emotional neglect. It ignores the constant anxiety. It ignores how exhausted the soul has become. Love can blind a person emotionally. The heart becomes so afraid of losing someone that it starts accepting pain it was never meant to normalize. And this is why Allah sometimes removes people from our lives in ways we do not understand at first. Not because He wants to punish us, but because He sees what we cannot see. Allah sees the conversations hidden behind closed doors. He sees intentions that were never spoken openly. He sees the emotional damage waiting in the future. He sees the tears that would have continued for years if the connection remained. He sees the ways your soul would have slowly broken trying to hold on to something that was never truly healthy for you. And sometimes His mercy appears in the form of separation. But heartbreak rarely feels like mercy in the beginning. In the beginning, it feels like emptiness, silence, confusion. You make dua while crying because your heart cannot understand why something it loved so deeply had to end. You ask Allah for closure while secretly still hoping the person will return. Part of you wants to move on, while another part of you keeps holding on to memories because letting go feels terrifying. And healing is difficult because attachment keeps romanticizing the past. The heart keeps replaying the beautiful moments while forgetting the emotional suffering that came with them. It remembers the affection but forgets the anxiety. It remembers the closeness but forgets the sleepless nights. It remembers the promises but forgets how often the soul felt emotionally unsafe. But with time, Allah slowly opens the eyes of the heart, and one day, you begin seeing things differently. You realize how much emotional chaos you were carrying. You realize how often your peace disappeared. You realize how much of yourself you sacrificed trying to keep someone who could not love you in a healthy way. And suddenly, the heartbreak that once felt like destruction starts looking like protection. This is one of the deepest forms of Allah's mercy. Sometimes Allah removes a person because He knows your future cannot heal while they remain in your life. Sometimes He breaks a connection because your heart had become too attached to something that was slowly breaking your soul. Sometimes He closes a door because He knows what waits behind it would have hurt you far more than the pain of walking away today. And this is why trusting Allah during heartbreak is one of the hardest tests of love, because the heart only sees the loss, but Allah sees the entire future. The heart sees loneliness. Allah sees protection. The heart sees rejection. Allah sees redirection. The heart sees the ending of a story. Allah sees the beginning of your healing. And maybe tonight, someone listening is still grieving a person they thought they could never live without. Maybe your heart still aches every time you remember them. Maybe a part of you still waits for closure, understanding, or peace. But listen carefully. If Allah removed someone from your life, it was never without wisdom. Even if you do not understand it yet, even if the pain still feels fresh, even if your heart still misses them. Because Allah does not take away something without knowing what your soul truly needs. And sometimes the greatest mercy is not giving you what you begged for. Sometimes the greatest mercy is protecting your heart from a future it could not survive. One day you may look back at the heartbreak that nearly destroyed you and quietly thank Allah for not allowing the relationship to continue, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally understood what your soul deserved all along: peace, safety, sincerity, mercy, and a love that would never require you to lose yourself just to keep it alive. The right person will calm the chaos inside you. Instead of becoming another storm, many people spend their entire lives confusing emotional chaos with love. They become so used to unstable relationships, mixed signals, emotional highs and lows, and constant overthinking that peace starts feeling unfamiliar to them. They believe love must always feel intense, dramatic, painful, and unpredictable. If the relationship does not leave them emotionally overwhelmed, They begin thinking the connection is not deep enough. But this is one of the biggest lies unhealthy attachment teaches the heart. Real love does not constantly throw your soul into confusion. Real love does not make your chest feel heavy every single day. Real love does not leave your nervous system trapped in fear, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. The right person will not become another storm in your already tired life. They will become a place of calmness inside it. And this kind of peace is something deeply beautiful, because many wounded hearts have never experienced it before. Some people grew up around emotional instability their entire lives. They watched love become shouting, manipulation, silence, emotional neglect, inconsistency, or abandonment. So when they finally meet someone calm, emotionally mature, and sincere, part of them struggles to trust it because chaos became familiar. And sadly, many people become emotionally addicted to relationships that constantly trigger fear inside them. The heart keeps chasing reassurance after periods of emotional pain, and eventually the person mistakes survival for passion. But surviving love is not the same thing as being safe inside it. The person written for you by Allah will not constantly disturb your peace. They will not leave your heart emotionally drowning while calling it love. They will not repeatedly trigger your deepest wounds while refusing to take responsibility for the pain they cause. Instead, their presence will feel calming to your soul, not because they are perfect, not because life suddenly becomes free from hardship, but because their sincerity creates emotional safety. You will not constantly fear abandonment around them. You will not feel emotionally punished for expressing your feelings. You will not spend sleepless nights trying to figure out if they still care about you. Their actions will bring stability instead of confusion. Their words will carry honesty instead of manipulation. Their love will feel emotionally safe enough for your heart to finally rest. And this kind of love heals people. A peaceful person can heal wounds they never created simply by being emotionally sincere, patient, and kind. Sometimes a heart that has spent years surviving emotional chaos does not need grand gestures. It simply needs consistency. It needs gentleness. It needs honesty. It needs someone who does not turn love into emotional warfare, because many hearts are not tired from loving. They are tired from surviving unhealthy love. And there is a difference. A person can love deeply and still feel peaceful. A person can care deeply and still sleep peacefully at night. A person can be emotionally attached and still feel emotionally safe. This is what healthy love looks like. But wounded hearts often struggle to believe this. They think if they are not constantly chasing someone emotionally, then the relationship must not be meaningful. They think if there is no anxiety, no emotional confusion, and no dramatic uncertainty, then the love is boring. But peace is not boring. Peace is sacred. Peace is what the soul has been searching for beneath all the emotional chaos. And one of the most beautiful things about real love is that it does not force you to abandon yourself. The right person will not make you feel emotionally small. They will not make you question your value every day. They will not constantly disappear and return depending on their mood. They will not leave you carrying the emotional weight of the relationship alone while they give you only fragments of care. Instead, they will protect your heart carefully because they understand that hearts are an amana from Allah. A sincere person fears hurting the people they love. They do not enjoy emotional games. They do not enjoy watching someone suffer for their attention. They understand that love is responsibility, mercy, patience, and emotional maturity. And this is why love, written with barakah, feels different from worldly attachment. Worldly attachment creates emotional addiction. It keeps the heart anxious, unstable, desperate, and fearful. But love blessed by Allah brings sukoon. Even during difficult moments, there is still respect. There is still emotional safety. There is still honesty. There is still care. Your soul does not constantly feel like it is fighting for survival. And maybe tonight, some hearts need to hear this deeply. If someone constantly becomes the reason your peace disappears, your anxiety increases, your sleep breaks, and your soul feels emotionally exhausted, then your heart is carrying a storm it was never meant to carry forever. Because the person truly written for you will not continuously become the source of chaos inside your life. They will become a source of peace inside it, a calmness that softens your heart, a sincerity that makes you feel emotionally safe, a love that allows your soul to breathe again after carrying too much pain for too long. And that kind of love does exist. Not perfect love, not fantasy, but the kind of love that brings you closer to peace, closer to emotional safety, and closer to Allah instead of constantly pulling you into darkness and exhaustion. What Allah truly writes for you will arrive with peace, mercy, and emotional safety. At the end of every painful attachment, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, and every emotional storm, there is one truth the heart slowly begins to understand. What Allah truly writes for you will never require you to destroy yourself just to keep it. Many people spend years chasing love that continuously hurts them because they are afraid that letting go means losing their only chance at happiness. They hold on to relationships that exhaust their soul because they cannot imagine something better waiting ahead. They keep forcing connections that no longer carry peace because attachment keeps whispering, "What if this is the best you will ever have?" But Allah does not write love in a way that humiliates the heart. The love written by Allah carries mercy inside it. It carries sincerity, emotional safety, honesty, patience, and peace. It does not constantly leave you feeling emotionally abandoned. It does not repeatedly destroy your self-worth. It does not force you to lose your dignity just to feel chosen by someone. And this is something many hearts struggle to accept, because when a person becomes deeply attached, they stop asking, "Is this healthy for my soul?" and start asking only, "How do I keep them from leaving?" That fear changes people. It makes them tolerate things they never imagined they would tolerate. It makes them stay in situations that quietly damage their emotional health. It makes them abandon their own peace just to avoid loneliness. And slowly, the relationship becomes less about love and more about emotional survival. But real love is not emotional survival. Real love is emotional safety. The right person will not make you feel like you are constantly fighting for a place in their heart. They will not make you question your value every day. They will not disappear whenever things become emotionally serious. They will not leave your soul carrying anxiety while calling it love. Instead, their presence will feel like mercy after a long season of emotional exhaustion. And this does not mean the relationship will never face hardship. Every relationship goes through tests because this dunya was never created to be perfect. There will be misunderstandings, difficult moments, emotional stress, and seasons where patience is needed. But even during hardship, a love blessed by Allah still carries emotional sincerity and safety. There is still respect during disagreements. There is still gentleness during pain. There is still honesty during confusion. There is still care even when life becomes difficult, because healthy love does not disappear the moment things become emotionally uncomfortable. And one of the most beautiful things about the right person is that they will not make you feel distant from yourself. Around them, your heart still feels calm. Your soul still feels connected to Allah. Your dignity remains protected. Your emotional well-being still matters. You do not feel emotionally trapped. You do not feel like you are slowly breaking inside. You do not feel like your peace must be sacrificed for the relationship to survive. Instead, you feel emotionally safe enough to be yourself without fear. And this kind of peace is rare because it requires emotional maturity, sincerity, and fear of Allah. A person who fears Allah understands that love is not ownership. Love is not manipulation. Love is not controlling someone emotionally until they lose themselves. Real love is responsibility. It is mercy. It is protecting another person's heart with honesty and care. And maybe this is what some people need to hear tonight. You do not have to force what Allah did not write. You do not have to chase someone who keeps running from you emotionally. You do not have to beg for love that continuously costs you your peace. Because if Allah truly wrote someone for your soul, their love will not constantly leave your heart in darkness and confusion. Their presence will not make your life feel emotionally unbearable. Their love will not require you to betray your own dignity to keep them close. What Allah writes with mercy carries peace inside it, and sometimes that peace does not arrive immediately. Sometimes Allah first heals the parts of you that became attached to pain, chaos, emotional neglect, and fear. Sometimes He removes the wrong people before sending the right one. Sometimes He allows loneliness for a season, because your heart must first learn that peace begins with Him before it can safely exist with another person. And this is why healing matters so deeply, because a wounded heart will often chase people who match its pain instead of people who protect its peace. But once Allah begins healing your soul, your vision changes. You stop being attracted to emotional chaos. You stop romanticizing inconsistency. You stop chasing people who make you feel emotionally unsafe. And for the first time, you begin understanding that peaceful love is not boring. It is sacred. It is mature. It is healing. And maybe tonight, someone listening has been carrying a heavy heart for far too long. Maybe you have spent months or years trying to hold on to someone who kept breaking your peace. Maybe your soul feels exhausted from loving people who could not love you correctly. But listen carefully. Allah did not create your heart to live in constant emotional pain. Your soul deserves sincerity. Your soul deserves mercy. Your soul deserves peace. And what Allah truly writes for you will never require you to lose yourself just to keep it alive. One day, inshallah, your heart will look back at all the love that once hurt you and finally understand why Allah did not allow it to remain. You will realize that some people were never meant to become your home because they were only a lesson on the journey toward the peace Allah was preparing for you all along. And when the right love finally arrives, it will not feel like emotional punishment. It will feel like safety, like calmness, like mercy after hardship, like a heart that can finally rest again. And maybe that is the most beautiful thing to remember tonight. Allah is not taking your peace away forever. He is guiding you toward the kind of love that will no longer make your soul feel tired. Every heartbreak you survived, every night you cried quietly, every attachment that left your heart confused, Allah saw all of it. He saw the effort you gave. He saw the loyalty you carried. He saw the pain you hid behind your smile, and none of it was meaningless. Sometimes Allah allows the heart to break because He is teaching it where true peace actually comes from. Sometimes He removes the wrong person because your future cannot heal while they remain in your life. And sometimes the delay is not punishment at all. It is preparation. Preparation for a love that will not constantly wound you. Preparation for a connection that feels emotionally safe. Preparation for a person who will not make you beg for the bare minimum while calling it love. The right person will not arrive to confuse your heart. They will arrive with sincerity, with emotional maturity, with softness, with mercy, and most importantly, with a kind of peace that brings you closer to Allah instead of further away from Him. So if your heart feels tired tonight, do not lose hope. Not every closed door means you lost something good. Sometimes Allah closes a door because He heard conversations you never heard, saw pain you could not yet see, and protected your soul from a future that would have broken you even more. Trust Him, even when healing feels slow, even when loneliness feels heavy, even when your heart still misses what it had to let go of. Because Allah is capable of replacing confusion with clarity, pain with peace, and heartbreak with something far more beautiful than you can currently imagine. And one day, inshallah, your heart will no longer cry over the love that hurt it. It will thank Allah for not allowing it to stay. Because what Allah truly writes for you will never cost you your peace. It will feel like safety after chaos, mercy after pain, and calmness after a long emotional storm. If this reminder touched your heart tonight, write Ameen in the comments. And if you are still healing from a connection that stole your peace, never forget that Allah is Godder enough to replace pain with something far more beautiful. Subscribe for more reminders that bring comfort to the heart, peace to the soul, and closeness to Allah.